Hi, Spike. Howdy. I am CharLee Simons, your host here on Do Not Talk, talking about two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion. One decides what life is going to be like on Earth, the other one decides what it's going to be like when we leave it. The silent majority has finally found its voice. Now, we just need to get louder. I am so glad you're here because Arthur Schapper is on my show again. This guy's so dang smart. Fascinating to talk to about most things that people don't want to talk about, or if they do, it's not in very much detail. He writes for Town Hall. He writes for several different online publications and in print. He's a great writer. I enjoy reading his stuff when it comes across. And he just wrote something recently in Town Hall about President Trump. Forget the first 100 days. How about the first 6 months? What has he been able to accomplish? I loved it. It was a really well done article, and so much so that I thought I want to do a show just reading Arthur's article. And then I realized, well, that's dumb. I could just have Arthur on myself, let him talk about it. So that's what we're going to do. Before we bring him in, though, I wanted to ask you to do me a favor, please, and go to my website when you can and buy something from my new store, merchandise store. It's great. I think you'll be actually really impressed. And hopefully you'll be so motivated to want to buy some of the products in there. It's kind of the usual thing with shows like this. You got the shirts, you got the mugs, you got the stickers, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but some are very, very clever, and they all look really great. You know why I know that? Because I didn't design them. I'm not an artistic person, but I recognize good work. So if you'd go to my website, please, and click on that tab that says Merch Store, I sure would greatly appreciate it, and you would be helping this show because we need to start bringing some money in because it costs money to put this show on, and frankly, I don't have really any kind of advertisers. It's just been listener supported, viewer supported through my different ways that you can give, and that's all on the website as well. If you want to help, that would be such a tremendous blessing. At least just pray about it. Support this ministry. And that's at charleesimons.com. CharLeeSimons. charleesimons.com. And another favor I'd like to ask of you, click the like button right now, wherever you're watching, whether it's on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, wherever. Click that like button and then follow the channel or on YouTube, it's subscribe. It sounds like it costs you money, but it doesn't. But that's just what they call it. They all have their own little terms. I would appreciate that more than you know, because you'll be breaking down the algorithms and helping us grow that way as well. And then sharing these shows, especially this one today with Arthur Schapper. You're going to love it. You ready? Hit it. I'll fix this in post, Arthur, but my mom's medical alert is going on. Excuse me, please. I'll
Not a problem. I hope she's not having an episode.
Yeah, me too. Hello.
Hello, this is Bob from Connect America Medical Alert calling for Charles Simmons.
Simons, yes, that's me.
Simons, I'm sorry, Mr. Simons.
That's all right.
I'm calling about the account of Griselda Maticic at 3403 Silver Rapids Road.
Yes, sir.
We received a medical alarm at 10:14 a.m. and were unable to make contact, so we have dispatched EMS to the site.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the update. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Please have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Okay, good. Somebody's on the way. That's excellent.
Yeah, but she has a caretaker there that shows up at 10 a.m.
Okay.
Dag nabbit, Art. It's like everything's working against us, huh?
A lot of stuff hits you right now, I see.
And I'm not supposed to have any kind. As you know, you just have to. For 3 months, I guess, is the most susceptible to have a relapse. You can tell, obviously, that I'm not speaking as quickly and fluently as I normally do.
Gosh.
Hopefully, it doesn't show up too much, though. Now, right now, see, I can't even remember her caretaker's name. Strokes suck.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had one.
But the good news is how our bodies repair. I'm stunned at how the brain can repair. That is just very welcome news. I used to
You
think
struck home, though, with the whole caffeine thing.
Yeah.
So for me, it was the caffeine and the nicotine. I'm doing them both for a long time, whether it was through smoking or dipping or now those pouches.
Yeah.
And my chronic high blood pressure.
Oh, geez.
I was on 3 different high blood pressure meds when it happened. Blood pressure, I understand, is now it's like the key to everything.
Yeah.
Is everything okay at Mom's? The medical alert people called me. Son of a bitch. One thing or another.
Oh, he's not calling you? Jeez. Oh,
No. I just left a it's very bad service where my mom lives.
Okay.
So
She's
I
in
was just
Placer.
leaving a text message.
Is she in Placer or?
Yeah, I know. Mom's medical alert people called right when I was about to go to art. So I'll cut all this out when we go live.
Sure.
Thank you. I just sent her a text. Okay, baby. Thank you. That's a good idea.
All right. I'll take care of it.
All right. Thank you. My girlfriend is extraordinary. Such a blessing. Thank you, Lord. She stayed in the hospital. Thank you, Lord. Seriously, thank you for Cindy. She stayed in the hospital with me for 4 days straight. Would not leave. Slept on the chair in the room.
Oh, geez.
Yep. Would not leave. All right. Here we go. Arthur. 5, 4, 3. What's up, my friend? How have you been?
I'm doing really well. Thanks again for having me on the show, Charlie.
Massresistance.org. How are things
Yes.
going there? You all are doing such great work.
Yep, we're still moving full speed ahead, fighting LGBT perversion in all of its forms. I was just in Redlands yesterday. LGBT, bigots, Nazis. The truth is they are just as fierce and vicious as the Nazis whom they defame everybody else to be. They've been attacking the school board because they've been advancing a number of pro-family policies, and I was there to support them. So we've been doing that, and we've had a great victory in Oklahoma. You'll be reading about that shortly, too. So things are on the move.
Let me solidify and add to what you said about that community. I call it the homo mafia. I've been calling it that for a long time. All my years in radio and television, you get a lot of kooks, you get a lot of freaks, you get a lot of stalkers, you get a lot of people who want to harm you.
Yeah.
Merely because you're on the radio or on television. It's odd, it's sad. It's gotten even worse, but it was the homosexual community. They're the ones that I got death threats. They would describe how they were going to kill me, where they were going to do it.
Oh.
It was vicious and violent, and always, every encounter I ever had with that people group has never been a positive one. And it's not because I go out and say, throw all homosexuals off the prayer tower because I'm Muslim. No, it's not that. For the most part, I'm saying this makes no sense. I'll give you an example. In San Francisco, when I was working for the ABC radio network, I had a morning show on a station by the call letters of KSFO. And the city council made it a city ordinance that if you as a business owner had an employee a male employee, I don't do this for the females, but a male employee show up dressed as a woman, It is now illegal to tell him to go home, change clothes, and come back. This is going back to, goodness, mid-90s. So
It shows how backwards they were even then.
even
Unbelievable.
then, and I was just stunned at the sheer stupidity of it all, that you couldn't tell some dude, go home and dress like what you are.
Right.
And at the time, the rest of the country would have thought, well, that's funny, those idiots in San Francisco. But here I was, one of those idiots living and working in San Francisco. And I spoke up on the radio. That's stupid. So, and I argued against it as to why it made no sense and how ludicrous it was. All hell broke loose. It didn't take long at all. Death threats, protests, boycotting every advertiser on all 3 stations there, because there were 2 radio and 1 television, KGO. And it lasted for a good month. Thank God management stuck by me. I don't know why, because it caused them so much headache and turmoil and problems. I would not have blamed them if they would have let me go or broke the contract and gotten rid of me. I would not have blamed them. But I'm grateful that they did not. I wound up losing that job anyway because ABC was bought by Disney and they fired everybody. But anyway, that was not even my first encounter with that people group. But
So I definitely want to. I'm very excited to tell you about one of my latest articles. You had you had shared with me how excited you were, and I'm doubly excited to talk about it because I'm not afraid to claim a bit of a mea culpa. One of my latest, it was 6 months into Trump 2.0. I stand corrected. I wanted to really just get into. I didn't have a chance to write something in the first 100 days. I wanted to give Donald Trump a chance to really get the ball moving. And Donald Trump, President Trump 2.0, I've called him Terminator T1000. He has exceeded not just my expectations, not just his initial term in office. I am beyond impressed. I don't hide it. I voted for DeSantis in the primary because I wanted that robust record of results that I felt that Trump didn't accomplish for whatever reason, whether it was deep state or incompetence or a lack of commitment to the policies he campaigned on. It makes no difference. He is not only meeting the expectations, he's exceeding the expectations. I have gotten to a point when I talk about all the things that Trump is doing. People love to post or they comment, I voted for this. I voted for this. I voted for the illegals rounded up.
I'm one of those guys. I voted for this.
I vote. But now I have to admit, there are some things I did not vote for because I would have never imagined that the president would be doing this. He is moving at such a rapid, impressive clip. He understands the time limits he faces, but he also has the advantage of prior experience with the first term. He knows where all the dead bodies are buried. He knows all the people who buried the bodies. He knows the people who undermined his presidency the first time around. He understands the emergency and the exigence of the circumstances he faces, and he has hit the ground running. He is not only more consequential than FDR, I think he is exceeding FDR's first 100 days. Here we are 6 months in, and he has not taken his foot off the gas. No. He's going after not just illegal immigration. He's not only getting the wall built. Contracts have already been approved. The big, beautiful bill provided necessary funding to finish that wall. But this is just, it shows the real creativity, his using government power, going after the universities. I write about this at length in my article. I don't think he's getting enough credit for taking on this 5th column of cultural Marxism, which has been poisoning our country and undermining our culture for decades. We've seen books written, we've had podcasts, we've had commentators complaining about the universities. But President Trump is doing something about it. He's going after their funding. He is holding them accountable, finding them for violating the civil rights or the natural rights of the students, and being able to take advantage of the whole Palestinian cult, which has overwhelmed our universities. Trump is leaning on that to not just combat anti-Semitism, but I submit to you, the entire woke Marxist cancel culture is so summed up in this whole anti-Semitic, pro-Palestinian cult-like atmosphere that has taken over universities, and he's going
Yeah.
after it. He's going after the foreign nationals who have invaded our universities and turned them into hotbeds of protest. I disagree with some of the conservative commentators who think that removing foreign nationals on a visa because they're protesting or they're causing disturbances on campus, it is the right thing to do. It is a privilege for foreign nationals to get a visa, obtain a visa, and to study in our universities.
People seem to have forgotten that. That's
We don't
right.
owe them anything. And even
No.
I was kind of stunned when Ann Coulter was critical of clamping down on the freedom of speech of these foreign nationals. They're foreigners. They're not American citizens. And furthermore, freedom of speech is never freedom to commit crimes. It's not freedom to block the freedom of passage for students from one place to another, nor is it a license to threaten people, which has become pervasive, not just in regards to Jewish students or to those who oppose, support Zionism, or to those who oppose the Palestinian cause. But this has been an issue on multiple fronts when it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to domestic policy, when it comes to free range of discussion. It has routinely been shut down. You've had comedians, you've had Republican speakers on a wide variety of subjects who were sanctioned or shut down or canceled. How many times was Ben Shapiro canceled? How many times was Michael Knowles canceled? And now that's being turned around. There you go. So, yeah, CharLee, everything okay?
I don't know if it's being turned around. It is on college campuses, thank God. but I've been involved with Turning Point and Charlie Kirk's events, and I've been to the events, and I've been on campus when this is going on, and the the brainwashing is astounding.
Exactly. And, I can't stress how frustrating it's been. People were just complaining about it. Jordan Peterson, he really articulated how if conservatives are really serious about winning this culture war, they should be going after education and not just providing proper curricula or banning pride flags or getting rid of the DEI credentials. They need to go after the bad teachers and the credentialing process. And the starting point is the universities, where new teachers are indoctrinated early to give in to all of this cultural Marxist social justice warrior nonsense. And of course, anti-Trump, pro-leftist, anti-conservative propaganda. Universities have always been the hotbeds for this fifth column or this third rail of cultural revolution, and Donald Trump is taking care of it. This is fantastic. So Donald Trump and for him to be going full speed ahead, going after Harvard, Columbia, forcing them to bend the knee, to change their policies, to stop discriminating against students, to stop violating the rights of students. This is fantastic. Now, the last time I was on your program, I had shared a lot of my concerns regarding the big, beautiful bill push. There was concerns about the spending. There will always be concerns about spending. I can acquiesce and recognize that the American public maybe isn't in the place right now to really deal with the debts, the deficits, and the spending. But it doesn't mean that they haven't started taking steps, cutting the funding to NPR, cutting it to PBS, cutting it to Planned Parenthood. We have waited decades for a Republican Congress and president to take care of, cut off the funding for these horrific institutions, government-funded, left-wing, anti-American propaganda.
Anti-life.
Reagan didn't do it. Bush didn't do it. Trump did it.
Yep.
This is huge. I start out my article. I got a phone call from the National Republican Congressional Committee. They're always asking for money. It was a routine habit for me. I would say no, or I would just hang up the phone. If I saw the 202 area code, I didn't even answer. This was the first time ever where I let the volunteer make her case, give her entire speech. And I said, you guys are getting shit done. I want to donate now. I have never been there before. They are actually getting the job done. And Trump deserves much of the credit. He has led the fight on this.
Now you're talking about
this change.
You're talking about the national GOP, though, not the California GOP.
That is correct. California still has a lot to learn.
Make that distinction, because the California GOP is still a mired, sewered up rhino mess.
It's a big mess. I said National Republican Congressional Committee. They're getting it done. And we see how Pennsylvania gained congressional seats. You saw them hold on to their seats in a whole bunch of other states. But here in California, we still lose seats because it is just a complete mess. It needs to change in California, or at the worst case scenario, California just serves as the foil. We don't want to be like this while the rest of the state prospers. We've got President Trump, who is cleaning up the mess and overriding so much of the corruption. That's something else I wrote about too. For the first time, when I drove to Downey, California, that's about an hour away when traffic is up. So I'm driving. I always try to drive early. It took me 35 minutes, but this was the first time ever it took me the same amount of time to get back home. Little things like that are huge. Why? Because the illegals are not on the freeways anymore. The illegals are not taking up space, taking up jobs, cluttering up the streets. They're leaving, they're fleeing, they're going into hiding. Real enforcement. We as Californians can appreciate this. I wrote another article shortly after about MacArthur Park. That park in LA City was the symbol of resistance to enforcement, law and order, and immigration control, because that's where the first protests were. 2007, there was the MacArthur Park melee, speaking out against immigration enforcement. There was a bill going through Congress that was actually a mixture of enforcement and amnesty, but they were so upset about any form of enforcement. There was a melee that broke out. The police got very skittish from that point on, taking on the open borders lobby and their rioting features. But to see this year, to see Trump direct ICE agents in large numbers to MacArthur Park, rounding up illegals, defying Mayor Karen Bass and all of her pro-open border illegal alien compadres, pushing for the abandonment of rule of law, was wonderful. I went to MacArthur Park a few weeks ago. I recorded everything. It's still a little dirty, as parks tend to be. There's still a bit of a homeless problem, not nearly as bad as it used to be. But most importantly, it was a lot cleaner, a lot quieter, a lot safer. You could feel the difference. And this is because of President Trump enforcing our laws. He is getting it done. And his foreign policy push has been excellent. He has, instead of following any kind of strict ideological framework, he's looking at the facts on the ground and going, we have to do this. We have to do that. And he's able to do this without bringing us into further wars. He has actually been able to broker a lot of ceasefires. I mean, we saw this, what happened between Cambodia and Thailand, for example, between India and Pakistan. We are seeing a decrease in a lot of potential international conflicts. And I don't have a hard time. I'm not holding it against him regarding Ukraine. I know he said he could get it done in 24 hours, but he is now seeing the extent of how devious and how completely maniacal Vladimir Putin is when it comes to Ukraine. He's not on death ground. He's on death ground. He's got no choice.
And Zelensky, I mean, dealing with both of those petulant children.
And the way he dealt with Zelensky, the way he dealt with the South African president, is beautiful, fantastic. Trump is in the perfect position as a head of state. He was reelected with a broad mandate. He has broad support in the legislature, and he cannot run again. He has made it clear he's not going to try to break that 2-term amendment. I don't appreciate Steve Bannon trying to grift off of it, but I understand why he does that. But Trump is serious. He recognizes that he's got 1 term left. That means he can do whatever he wants. He can speak his mind. He's like James K. Polk, our 11th president, who ran on 1 term, got a lot done because he wasn't worried about the next election because he chose not to run again. Trump can't run again. So he's like, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to speak my mind, and I don't care what the press or anybody else says. When he was in the United Kingdom and he criticized the mayor of London openly, that was excellent. And part of the reason he can do that is that there's no political repercussions for him. He can't be removed from office.
Look at the speech in Davos to the World Economic Forum.
There you go.
He literally
told off every globalist interest. Yeah, he is really getting it done. It is a marvel to see. One of my final comments in my article, this to me is a serious consideration now. I have no problem if Trump is able to continue this pace as much as he does. I have no problem with putting a 5th face on Mount Rushmore, because he has really, he has done something qualitatively different as the chief executive. We're dealing with a cultural restorative agent here. He's not just thinking about winning the next election. He is really shaping the culture. The culture for future victories. He's the one who said we need to deal with this redistricting problem. There's an aggressiveness here to fight to win now.
I've never heard those words come out of a president's mouth. That is extraordinary that he's jumping right into the middle of it and encouraging things, starting with Texas too.
Yes,
which the left has been squealing with little shivers.
They know And
in their girly parts that
yes,
that Texas is turning purple.
nope.
But yeah, that's just because of the election fraud and the cheating being so incredibly rampant. And
Which we have here in
California,
California, no doubt
California,
about it. I am convinced.
California wrote a book on how to do it. I'm quite convinced because other states are stealing the ways that we cheat in elections.
Absolutely. And
That has to be the next thing to really, and President Trump is doing that. There's not a lot. I don't know how much he can do with states,
mhm,
forcing them to comply with election laws. I'd
yeah,
love to know exactly how far he could take that, but it's got to be done, or nothing will change. He will
the
have these
DOJ.
factions.
Oh, that leads to another thing. The Department of Justice is being very proactive, going after voter fraud, proactive, going at violations of individual rights. That has been a key executive branch enforcing Trump's broad cultural renovation agenda, going after the universities for violating people's rights. He's filed, Pam Bondi, she's filed lawsuits in Los Angeles County over the concealed carry weapons permit issue. They're still not complying with the Bruin order, and they're still stymieing the issue of CCWs. This is a huge win for us. Here in this is, again, no matter how bad California may get, God forbid we get something even worse than Gavin Newsom next year, Trump is still in office, and he is paving the way for a JD Vance, or I'm still very partial to Ron DeSantis. If JD Vance decides not to run, I think he would be the front runner, and I would prefer him. But he's paving the way for the future, setting a standard of we expect results. Going back to how Trump has been cutting the funding, cutting the spending, for him to dismantle the Department of Education is
No,
phenomenal. This
please.
is a seminal
Oh,
moment in our history. Ronald Reagan campaigned on it, didn't get it done. Trump is doing it. He's doing everything he can. I mean, I think what it amounts to is, by all intents and purposes, he can basically reduce the budget to $1. But the official dismantling of the department requires an act of Congress. But he's doing everything he possibly can, taking the money away, shutting down the programs, firing employees, getting rid of the federal bloat. We have waited for decades. This is something Thomas Sowell was railing about constantly, that no matter how great the president is, you have the civil servant bureaucratic class that stays in office and maintains the growth of government, the cultural Marxist degradation.
yep,
All of these things don't go away until you start firing people. And he's
yep.
doing it. He's fighting all the way. He is doing the best he can, dealing with rogue courts, but just the speed at which he's been doing everything. Let me take a step back briefly. I don't regret having supported Governor DeSantis in the primary, because I think that squeezed Trump to really get into gear going into the general election. DeSantis could get it done on as an executive in a state. Trump, this is what we expected of you. And he has built on that record and exceeded it. The way that he has hit the ground running, he had all the parts in place. He had all the people in place. The rapid succession of appointments, confirmations, is incredible. They are appointing justices earlier this time. They are moving fast, and I love it. You're not seeing
That's going to shape the direction
down.
of our nation for the next easily quarter of a century with these judge appointments and so
You
on.
bet. And I like, too, the members of Congress are starting to grow a spine. They have to follow Trump's example if they want to be competitive, avoid a primary, get elected. And even if that means we have a very slim majority right now, we've gotten rid of a lot of the rhinos, the dross, the corporatist Republicans or globalist Republicans who wanted handouts, corporate welfare, amnesty. They're gone. Now, that shrunk our majority down somewhat because you have a lot of interest in congressional seats. They want that money. They want the handouts. So they started leaning towards Democrats here and there. But that's going to reverse too. Back to that gerrymandering or the restoration of redistricting. It's such a hypocrisy. And Trump is calling this out. It's not the Republicans who gerrymander. It's always been the Democrats.
Always.
All of this racialized equalization. Well, we got to make sure there's majority minority districts. You look at Alabama, Mississippi, even Georgia, you see gerrymandering in order to ensure a majority Black district or a majority Hispanic district. That is gerrymandering. We need to get to a race neutral system. DeSantis set the stage for that in Florida and guaranteeing 4 more Republican seats. Texas is now doing the same thing. Texas, the gerrymanders are insane. You have like this thin little strip of land connecting Austin to another liberal suburb.
Right.
This
Have you
is
ever?
not.
I don't know how accessible that is to the public, but can I just look that up? Search engine redistricting in California, let's say.
Oh yeah,
Take a look at that map, see how it's drawn, and you're right. It'll be straight line, which is how it should be. This many amount of people. Here we go. Here we go. That's one district. There we go.
I don't know if I'm allowed to
No,
search.
it'll go. Suddenly take an offshoot this way, and then
Let
come
me.
back in this
I can
skinny
even put
little
it in the
line.
chat, and then you can. Ironically enough, here I am using an NPR source, but I can, because this is coming up quickly in the private chat. Here's a link. I think I can send it. There you go. If you want to click on that and share it with everybody, people can see that's a real gerrymander. The 37th Congressional District of Texas, very liberal district. And they did this so that they could guarantee a majority black, in reality, a majority Democrat district. That's been the scam. In Louisiana, they forced the state to redistrict so that there's another majority black district. And you have this thin little district stretching from one corner of the state to the other, and it's blue. It's a total gerrymander. This is the exact opposite of what the writers of that civil rights provision even intended. And Trump has stomped on that, and he has taken the lead and fought back. Boy,
when a Republican comes
right to be
in,
scared.
a Republican can, and we start actually trying to fix these ridiculous things on these maps, then the left will suddenly start screaming, they're gerrymandering. They're trying to cut you out of the election. And they completely accuse us of doing the very same thing that they do all the time.
Yep.
Which is
And
part of that whole Communist Manifesto, isn't it?
Maryland had one of the most abusive gerrymanders. It was like a thin little district that took in Baltimore and little side issues. The Chicago district was totally insane. It was like the three sides of a box, and it just like took the sides of the Chicago suburbs. I mean, it was.
If you can actually look at any of these redistrict or district maps, you'll be stunned. You'll see exactly what we're talking about. It is embarrassing that it's even been allowed to go on all this time.
And I think there's a way to fix this, ensuring that geographical boundaries and municipal boundaries must be respected. And if you want to add part of a county, you have to have an entire county within the district as well. This is a way to minimize those kinds of partial redrawings.
Can Fed dictate that to states?
Yes. I think there's I think that's an appropriate metric to ensure if you had in all this, the citizens redistricting, see, this is the beautiful thing too. Democrats have really screwed themselves over because they pushed for these independent commissions to give the impression of,
they love commissions, don't they?
Of doing away with the whole gerrymandering scam, but they've actually exacerbated it. In California, this independent commission created some of the most broadly, perversely drawn districts. I mean, even the first time they did it in 2011, my congressional seat, which goes from the South Bay of LA County, it then had a thin strip of land at Dockweiler Beach, which joined the South Bay to the west side, all the way to Calabasas. It was a gerrymander of the worst order. You had members of the commission who complained about it, but nothing was done. Then you look at the current map, you look at Kevin McCarthy's former district. It has these two little strings sticking out, grabbing a red city here and here. This was a way to take away a congressional seat that would have gone to Devin Nunes or his successor. So they took a district away from him, and it's just, you can clearly see it's not respecting any kind of sense. Democrats, what I believe they do, Harmeet Dillon and company, they did a public records request on this, and members of the independent commission, they had private meetings. They met off the record. They have the proof of this. This is something the California Globe had reported on. The point is, Democrats have been cheating. Republicans are fighting back. Trump has been leading the charge on this, expecting it. And most importantly, we as voters have changed, demanding results, not being content with hearing the right things, hearing the right, listening to welcome MAGA, don't just tell me about MAGA, do the MAGA. I really disagree with Tucker Carlson. I don't think President Trump is giving us appetizers. I think he's really giving us a full course meal. He's giving us as much as he can. That big, beautiful bill had a lot of big, beautiful provisions in it. I wrote about the tax cuts being permanent. I wrote about the subsidies getting cut off. I've mentioned how a lot of these left-wing agencies propped up by government money have been cut off. Trump finally got this done. And this is something that we should be celebrating.
And funding for immigration enforcement.
Absolutely. And for the military. And, there has been some spending cuts here and there. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm resolved to, if you have a growing economy, and if cutting Planned Parenthood, cutting all of those left-wing propaganda sites, cutting USAID, this is winning the culture for the long term. The welfare reforms, the reforms of Medicaid, you actually have to work. You have to put some time in. You can't just sit on your butt and collect money from the government. That's an essential reform. This is going to help us a lot down the line. That to me is what's really significant. Cutting the spending that is fostering a liberal or a progressive culture in the country. And he's rolling that back. And that's a big deal.
One thing that President George W. Bush tried to accomplish in his second term was my sincere apologies. I'm sorry. When my phone goes crazy like that, as you saw earlier, my mom's medical alert thing.
People are responding to us too, so
okay,
it's
here we go. Oh yeah, that's cool. Although I didn't see the link ever show up in the chat, but I do have the chat room open now. Vin Dog, love Vin Dog, Pookie, hello. But let's get back to.
With George W. Bush,
hang on a quick second. Hang on a quick. This is for editing purposes. 5, 4, 3, 2. One of the things when George W. was president that he tried to do was take away the funding that we were giving to National Public Radio, National Public Television, NPR, PBS, and they immediately put out a campaign, and it hit all the newspapers and television and everything else. You may have forgotten about this, but I didn't. The President Bush is trying to kill Big Bird.
Oh yeah,
remember that?
I also remember that during the election 2012.
And one of their arguments always was, well, it's only $500 million. They never set a price before that, but it was $500 million even back then. And it's only that. I mean, it's only just a small portion of the money that we bring in to keep broadcasting the love and peace and harmony to the world, unless you're on the right, and then you. There's my immediate response was, well, then you won't really miss it. You keep bragging about being listener supported. You keep bragging about being nonprofits, and you're not, but yet there are people getting extraordinarily wealthy who are working there. And the lies of it all was hilarious. So when President Trump said, you know what, I think this public broadcasting needs to go. Now, as a lifelong broadcaster, I hated always that my tax dollars are going to pay to keep something on the air that's competing with private industry. Government should never be competing with private industry, as far as I'm concerned. And they were in broadcasting. They're taking away attention. They're taking away viewers and listeners and so on. Now, if it's that kind of programming is all that popular, you'll find it in commercial television and radio. You'll find it because there's an audience for it. But if you're just a small portion of the audience, but I'm having to pay for it and fund it and prop it up, end it. I don't think it should be there in the first place. But this goes back, I think, to World War II stuff, doesn't it? Coming out of that was when they started up the whole public broadcasting thing. So here, President Trump has followed through. And yep, he's getting it done through a Congress that, as you say, has finally strapped on a set and is getting stuff done.
Yes.
And I haven't seen any of those. President Trump is trying to kill Big Bird ad campaigns. I think it's because they know this guy won't back down.
It isn't working anymore.
Bush did. Everyone else backed down.
And I think the country in general, they want the spending to stop. People are feeling the inflation. They want to see some fiscal discipline finally. And
Mhm.
the more promises that Trump is able to keep, especially on the substantive issues like immigration and cleaning up the universities, protecting our liberties, I have a growing confidence that Trump, I mean, he's defied so many political norms and patterns. I think it's it's at least 50-50, which is a big deal in itself, that Republicans will hold the House next year. The fact that it's 50-50 is a very good sign. It's not, there's no clarity here that Democrats have a chance. I don't see a blue wave at the very least on the horizon. I really don't. Democrats are in such a bad state right now that you even have U.S. Senator John Fetterman praising Trump, recognizing that he's winning. Democrats have a huge anchor around their neck named Zoran Mamdani that they are going to have to
In
deal
case you
with,
don't
and it's
know,
not going to
he's
help
running
them.
for
He's the socialist running for mayor of New York. And if the metrics are true, he's going to win. And hey, New Yorkers, if they insist on being woke, broke jokes, they deserve everything they vote for. But Trump, at the very least, is minimizing the damage of these failed blue cities and also the blue states. So even if the blue states don't break to becoming purple again, the damage they're doing is being minimized to such an extent that they lose population, they lose influence, they lose cultural hegemony, and our views, our values, our vision wins out. So I'm not worried about it. If Gavin Newsom is able to cheat and he's able to break the law, I don't know how they're going to possibly allow this, and then he redistricts everything and gerrymanders California, it won't matter, because even if you got rid of all the 9 Republicans in California, Texas, Florida, Missouri, Indiana, and now South Carolina has jumped in. They want to fix the gerrymandering. The Supreme Court is now going to hear a case potentially striking down that portion requiring majority minority districts for proper representation. If that gets struck down, game's on. You're going to see a whole bunch of blue seats
yes.
disappear.
This is awesome.
You can't cheat anymore. They can't play the race card anymore. See, and this is because we are moving towards that proper natural law ideal, which is that we're not judging people by the color of their skin, but our political metrics should be based on cultural norms, on historical trends. It shouldn't be based on skin color. It shouldn't be based on race. So there you go. The Democrats, they went all in on the DEI, and now they're going to DIE in their failure. Let's see what happens. Democrats fail. If they can't win the House back in 26, I think it's over.
Have you used that in one of your articles, by the way?
Not yet, but I think it's worth
now
using.
They're going to DIE. That's good.
Yep.
I like that.
They're setting the stage for their own destruction. They put going back to Texas, Trump going after all of the loudmouths like Jasmine Crockett. That's their spokeswoman. And if this redistricting goes through in Texas, she'll be out of a job. Her district is gone. Wow. They're getting rid of everybody. We'll see what happens. But 26, if Democrats can't get the House back, it's over. I really do. Because donors are already pulling their money out. That'll be the biggest thing. Because if I understand the political history in this country, the Democratic Party we have today, it started with Martin Van Buren, and it has had this dubious distinction as the longest lasting political party in the country. But if Trump gets his way, continues, and has successes next year, I think the Democratic Party is done. All of the liberals, all the globalists will have to start a new party, or the Republicans will branch off who don't like Trump, and they'll start a new movement because they're still there in Congress. You still have that issue. You still have liberals that want to have some kind of a political vehicle. And if the Democratic Party isn't going to do it, they're going to have to try something else.
Man, I so agree with you. Absolutely.
It's good news.
It is great news.
It's nothing but good news.
And I'm going to continue posting. My only comment on things that I reshare is, I voted for this. I'm that guy. Yep. This is extraordinary what I'm watching happen. I just can't wait for California to be yanked by the nose ring into not being a lawless, tyrannical, horrific body of.
Because that's the real problem. It's more than a Democratic problem. It's a lawlessness problem, and that's something Trump can fix. that can be remedied to get the state back in order, especially if all these illegals flee. You won't have them voting illegally. And if he can really crack down on the public sector union abuses, that's good. Last of all, I know time is running out, but Trump has really, my biggest issue has always been fighting LGBT perversion. And I've had concerns about Trump in the past because he's had some gay members of his cabinet who they're not pushing it in my face. They're actually undermining the gay agenda, incidentally enough. Even Grinnell getting rid of the drag queens, getting rid of all the pride stuff. So if he's using the gays to get rid of the gay agenda, I have no problem with it. And getting rid of Harvey Milk on the name of one of our ships, no Pride Month, cutting off the funding for the mutilation of kids, recognizing that there are two sexes. He hit the ground running. He has exceeded expectations in that regard too.
I am too. I completely agree with you.
Absolutely. Enough. I said I would donate to the NRCC. That's how things have changed. They deserve the donation. I could say that they do. They really do. I'm not a shill. I'm not a consultant. They've done their job finally.
The National Party, not the California State. I won't give them.
Correct.
I won't give them a dime. I don't know how they're going to turn that investment.
Not at this point. No way. I agree. The work is not done. Thank God for people like Jack Guerrero getting elected as treasurer. Amen. There is future. I think Senator Morell, because that's the first time I got to meet you, was at Senator Morell's launch for chairman. I don't think anybody should disparage. He did a great job, and they've started to really take out some of the underlying establishment problems. They've made some progress. They should not feel bad, even if they didn't get the chairmanship. Not at all. They're making progress.
I agree again. And where do we find you, Arthur Shopper? We can find your...
Oh, certainly. So I have my own blog, ashopper1.blogspot.com.
Say that again a little more slowly. Say that again a little more slowly.
So it's ashopper1.blogspot.com. If you can put it on the screen for your viewers.
You're going to have to spell it for me. So the letter A, Shopper.
That's fine. And I'll put it in the, I'll type it in the chat right now.
And I'll bring it in.
If that helps. I guess you can edit this out. ashopper1.blogspot.com. There's the link. I can email. It's in my email signature, so you can see it there. I write for Town Hall, American Greatness, American Thinker just took me on, and also for Canada Free Press. They've been publishing my work, and I'm hoping to really expand my outreach. New York Post is moving to California. I'd love to, be a commentator for them if they would give me the opportunity. Thank God for the New York Post. They're really pushing back on a lot of the corruption. They are hard-hitting, honest journalism. I get the New York Post every day. Again, they're not paying me. I just love what they do. I get their stuff all the time.
You said they're moving to California?
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase briefly. They are expanding.
Okay.
To California. Like, what? They're going to have the California Post. That's what they've announced that earlier this week.
I'll be darned.
They're going to announce the California Post. They're going to print, and they're going to have a web version just like they do in New York City.
They're going to be competing with Epic Times then. Yeah.
Maybe.
Wow. That's excellent. I love competition. Fantastic. Right.
It's good. And it shows that print media can survive, but you actually have to print news, not propaganda, not slop, not deep state talking points.
Exactly right. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for spending the time. I always appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you so much, Charlie, for having me.
Oh, yeah. And my favorite joke, thank you for being had. I'll talk to you later. And please go to my website, CharLeeSimons.com. You want to support this show, you can do it there. Financially, you can help. You can buy some merchandise in our merch store. Click on that tab. You can book a slot, book a guest slot, actually. If you want to be on a podcast you never have, heck yeah, I'll talk to you. I'm just opening up all possibilities right now. That's all. So you can contact me through there too. You want to get in touch with me personally. CharLeeSimons.com, CharLeeSimons. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless God.